Welcome into the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. Boy, have we got a good one today, folks. We've got an old friend back. We're talking Bigfoot today. And we are at the end of another great week here on Darkness Radio. Jessi Doyle's back with us. Hellbent, Holler's got a brand new movie out. And of course, we got to talk about it. The movie is Hunt for the Appalachian Bigfoot, Valley of the Giants. Let me tell you something, folks, before we bring Jessi in. My weekend was filled with SummerSlam and plenty of wrestling, which I know Jessi's going to say, stop talking about the wrestling, old man. We're not going to say anything more about that. There were more views of her movie than there were people at SummerSlam this weekend. What does that tell you? Hellbent Holler is hotter than the WWE in person. That's all I got to say about that. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring her back into the program. One of my favorites, one of my all-time favorites, whether it be in Bigfoot or supernatural news. Here she is from Hellbent Holler. Jessi Doyle, how you doing, lady?
I am well. Now think about this. Now think about if I added in violence and spandex into what I do, then I'll own the world, won't I?
You would. You know, this is what I'm thinking. You take your brand new addition to the movie, Brooke. You and Brooke tag teaming against Steve and Joe.
I love it.
It doesn't even have to be an intergender match. I think it's just the ladies against the guys. You add a few steel chairs, a couple of tables, and by God, you got maybe 1 million views.
Although the best thing's going to be when we do our heel turn, and
yes.
Brooke and I are just the bad girls.
That's
Bigfoot.
Right. Well, why wouldn't it be any other way? I think, yes. Is Bigfoot the special guest referee, or is he actually going to do the run-in and help you out?
I think he runs in and helps us out. I think that's what happens.
I think so, too. Yeah. I think you got this thing booked out perfectly. Yeah.
And then we're going to do a casket match. We'll have like a paranormal thing where we do a casket match. We've got to bring back the casket match. You know,
okay, so now we're getting into deep water here.
We've done it now.
If you remember the cinematic match from WrestleMania between Undertaker and AJ Styles, they kind of did a thing where they could have buried somebody alive on location.
Uh-huh.
You could do a buried alive match on location out in the woods and have a UFO show up.
Steve, we could do it. We could do it at an old mountain cemetery. I've got a couple of locations. Buried alive match. Sounds great. Mm-hmm. Love it.
There you go. And that's as much as we'll get into the wrestling today. And then we'll get to the business at hand here. Boy, did I love this movie, Jessi. You guys keep knocking it out of the park time after time after time. I keep looking forward to the next one. I know I keep saying this, and I'm like a fat kid in a candy store who can't get enough carbohydrates here.
You put a lot of stress on me. That's one thing that happens every time I make one of these films is I'm like, how do we top the last one? The one I did prior to this was The Land Between the Lakes. And at the end of the Land Between the Lakes film, we got an incredible howl out there. And that's like the gold standard right there. That's that piece that you're looking for. And I was like, how do I top that? And we made our way out to Blood Mountain, Georgia. And we went out there with the intention of going out and doing a straight up Bigfoot hunt like we've been doing with all these. And it just takes a supernatural turn. And I think it took a turn that you don't expect, but is definitely a welcome turn.
Well, tell me how you come across Blood Mountain. Now, there's a missing hiker, right, in the beginning of this movie. So tell me how you come across Blood Mountain, first of all, as you're scouting it, and what is it about this that draws you in, and you know that you have to investigate this location?
So we were trying to figure out what we're going to do. We had to pivot from our other plan for the movie we were going to do then. We were going to pivot, and we were doing our live show. We do a live show every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on our channel. And it's a live stream. We just chat with the audience and everything. And somebody in the chat just brought up Lake Winfield Scott. And I was like, I've never heard of that before. And then somebody else chimed in that they had a personal experience out at Lake Winfield Scott. And so I pull it up on the map right there, and I'm doing this live on the air. And I go, whoa, that's next to Blood Mountain. Okay, that's cool. I didn't know anything about Blood Mountain. I was like, what a cool name. Oh, it's right next to Slaughter Mountain and Slaughter Gap. I was like, Great names. All right, this is cool. Let's look into this. After the show, I started looking into it. I had those two people email me their experiences, and they both had very intense Sasquatch experiences out there. Not far from there is the Expedition Bigfoot Museum in Cherry Log, Georgia. So I was like, there's got to be something here. So I started digging into the historical accounts, the historical Bigfoot accounts in the area, going through different resources, and it turns out there's a lot of Bigfoot encounters in this area. And then I started digging into the history of Blood Mountain itself. The Blood Mountain name comes from a vicious battle between the Creeks and the Cherokees many, many years ago. It was in Slaughter Gap, which is the gap between Blood Mountain and Slaughter Mountain, that this took place. So I was like, this place is so spiritually charged. There's so much here. There's so many experiences people have had with Sasquatch out there. It's spiritually charged. This is the place to go. It's calling out to us. Let's go. Let's do it. At that point, we contacted Dave Becerra from the Expedition Bigfoot Museum, set up an interview with him, and it's all history from there. Dave has become basically the clearinghouse for local experiences out there. People come to the museum and they tell him all of their experiences in the area. And so he was a wealth of knowledge. We interviewed him for the film, and it just all rolled from there. And I couldn't have been happier with how it all turned out. It was insanely scary, and when it took its turn for the paranormal, I was not surprised at all based on the interview that I did with Dave Becerra. So I just think everything kind of was serendipitous with how it fell into place.
The one thing and the one impression I get from Dave, especially from the movie, is that he's got not only a healthy respect for the area, but it seems like there's almost a tiny bit of fear of the area. Like he's saying, you know, if you're going to go out there, okay, fine, but I don't know that I'd do it again. You know, like you've been out there, but be careful what you wish for. Once you got out there, did you ever have that feeling of maybe I'm in a little too deep, or is this something a little bit different than what you'd experienced before in other areas?
Well, so up until this point, recently, we've been doing a lot of lowland areas. We've been doing a lot of flat terrain. We've done the Uwaris. We've done the land between the lakes. We've done the Sumter National Forest. This was a return to our roots for us. The Blood Mountain region is in North Georgia. It is steep, craggy, dangerous terrain, very rocky. And what really exemplifies the danger of the area is the fact that Charles Hosh went missing in November of 2025. And not a single trace of him has been found since. He went missing on a trail that is often hiked by people. It is a very popular trail. It is the trail from the Byron Reese trailhead up to the peak of Blood Mountain itself. And they had hundreds and hundreds of people out there searching for him, and nobody has found a single trace of him out there. So that lets you know how dangerous this area actually is. And we highlight that in the film. Us going out there, we definitely realized that we were going to be in danger here, and not just from Sasquatch or the local fauna that is in the area, but the terrain itself is insanely dangerous. So we knew that we had sort of bit off more than we could chew in a way. So it was very important that we brought in the other team members, Brooke and Steve, to kind of watch our back. And that way we had a little backup out there, because not only we're dealing with this terrain, but say we do encounter a Sasquatch while we're in the process of doing this, we needed that backup for that.
Now, you mentioned Brooke and Steve. Let's get into them real quickly here. Steve Strange, we met him in the last movie, but remind us a little bit about Steve Strange and in his background.
Steve Strange, he has a Rumble channel called Surviving the Strange, and he travels all over the Southeast investigating paranormal and cryptid sightings. He's a very interesting guy. He has a background in security and IT. He's a huge guy, and he's very, very tech heavy with what he does. And he's like our tactical Sasquatch. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So he's the one out there with the helmet, with the night vision and the thermal that clips on there. He's our eyes and ears when we are doing the investigation. So he's absolutely essential to our investigation, because we have somebody out there that is constantly looking and listening at all times, and he alerts us to everything. He's basically our Bigfoot bloodhound.
And that he is. There's without giving too many spoilers or any spoilers at all, there's quite a few moments, it feels like, in this film where he's almost intuitive with what's going on out there, isn't he?
Yeah, and there were some things that occurred that didn't quite make it to the film because we didn't capture them and they didn't translate as well because, you know, you're trying to film everything while you're out there doing the investigation. And that's what makes what we do different is we don't have a film crew. We are the film crew. And there were moments where Steve was experiencing things that we just couldn't explain. He felt someone go past him and he thought it was one of us and he looked and we were in front of him. So that moment was very, very startling for him. But it seems like he has some sort of connection with the area as well. He got married in Dahlonega, which is south from there, and he has gone out in that area a lot over the past 10 years. And he actually was one of the people that was our guide in the area because he is so familiar with the terrain in the area.
Oh, wow. Introduce us to Brooke. Brooke is brand new to the team, and boy, does she bring a house of fire to the team. She really is kind of a breath of fresh air.
Brooke Moreland is from Florida. She is the host of the Dark Florida podcast. She does a lot of Bigfoot research out in Florida, and she is just a breath of fresh air. She hasn't done a lot of stuff in the public Bigfoot space, so we really wanted to bring her on and really show her to the audience because I think that her insight and her skill and her enthusiasm definitely needs to be seen by people. It was really interesting to have another female on the team as well because she brought that extra bit of energy that we needed. And I felt like I had sort of like we had that camaraderie, that female camaraderie as well. Now, there is a part in the film where the girls stay together and the guys stay together and we split off and the girls stay where we actually got a crazy thermal hit. We heard weird vocalizations and we stay down there and we monitor that area. It gets a little weird from there. And then the guys hike up and around the mountain. We had never done anything like that before because usually I'm the only female in the group. Mm-hmm. And we had never done something like that before. And I was really happy with how that experiment turned out. But she's definitely someone to watch in this field and someone to pay attention to. Her enthusiasm for it cannot be matched. It was just so wonderful to have her be a part of our team.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just I don't know. There's an it factor there with Brooke as well, where she, like I said, when she hits the screen, there's just something that draws you to her and draws you to both of you. And the two of you work really well as a team together. And it's one of those moments where you go, you know what? She just fits so well, and you just go, wow, this is really a great addition to.
And you can see. You can see that progress even in the film itself. You can see that progress from that first investigation to the last, that she really opens up. Mm-hmm. She really becomes like part of the environment and really starts to fly, you know? Yeah. I think that she's so dynamic and she's so beautiful and like striking and interesting. She's really got that it factor. We've got this like Xena Gabriella thing going on, you know? Mm-hmm. I'm going to get her a bow staff. She's getting a bow staff for Christmas. But and I just think, you know, it's hard to find somebody else that's in this field that just kind of hits on all cylinders like that. Yeah. So, and she knows how to present and she's enthusiastic. She's smart. So I'm so excited about having her on this project, and she's going to be on more projects going forward. We've figured out she is in Florida. We figured out how to get her up here for projects for my channel, and then she and I might have a project together in the future as well. We work that well together that I see a lot of really cool, interesting, and cutting edge stuff in the future for us.
Excellent. That's wonderful to hear, because like I said, both of you work really, really well together. So that'd be a shame if there wasn't some sort of cross what's the word I'm looking here for?
A crossover?
Crossover. Thank you. Yeah, I knew it would come up there eventually.
A very special episode.
That's right. It's a very special episode of today's whatever it is. Right. Well, you know, you've got your own YouTube channel that we could, that we should promote here real quick. Yeah.
My channel is Hellbent, Holler. And so these films that I'm doing right now, I'm doing them for small town monsters. So when you go to watch Hunt for the Appalachian Bigfoot, you're going to find it on Small Town Monsters. This is my fourth film that I've done for them. I've done 4 feature films for them, and I've got one more coming that'll be in October. So, and then it's going to be, all of my attention is going to be back on Hellbent Holler. But I'm on Hellbent Holler all the time. We do field investigations there, and we do live streams every Tuesday. But after we're done with these feature films, we're going to go full ham on our channel as well and get back into our groove.
There you go. But boy, I tell you something, Jessi, you guys are knocking it out of the park every time you put a film on Small Town Monsters.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm so happy with, through the course of doing this is my 4th film that I'm doing for them. Through the course of doing this, I have learned so much about filmmaking. Joe handles all the camera stuff and a lot of the equipment and everything. He's really honed his techniques through the process of doing this, because it's just the 2 of us and it's guerrilla filmmaking. It's not guerrilla filmmaking, it's guerrilla filmmaking. But it's just 2 of us. I do all of the post-production. I do all of the editing and graphics and everything like that. And then he does all of the filming of everything. So we are a 2-person film studio basically for this. And we're also the on-camera talent for it. But our skill sets have improved through the course of this. Our storytelling has improved through the course of this. So it's been just absolutely invaluable to what we do and our craft. So I think going forward, you're going to see a lot more very interesting, more intricate stuff from us on that end. We plan on doing 2 feature films for our channel and streaming for next year as well.
You can't convince me you've been learning this on the fly, the way you guys are producing these movies, because these are slick. These are really, really expertly produced. They're fun. They move quick.
Yeah.
There's never a lack of action in these things. You keep us on the edge of our seats from beginning to end.
One of my issues with, and it's not a bad thing. It's just a matter of taste. When you watch a lot of Bigfoot documentaries, there's a lot of people sitting in chairs kind of telling their story. Mm-hmm. And that's great. There's a lot of value in that. I didn't want to go from that perspective. I didn't want to take that approach, because that's what a lot of people do. I want to focus on what I do best, which is field investigations. I want action moving forward, because that's what it is. We can talk about people's experiences in the past, and that has value, but let's talk about what's happening right now, and let's go into it right now. And you said that you saw a Sasquatch, it looked like this, and it's over there. All right, let's go over there and look for it. So that's why I try to keep the action moving, because it's exciting. This is an exciting subject. What we're dealing with is you're talking about questions of the universe, and you're hunting something that people have sought for hundreds and hundreds of years, and it might have these supernatural abilities. This is beyond exciting. So I want to let the audience in on that. I want them to see how exciting it is, and I want to take them along for the ride as I go and I run into the woods and I face these dangers. I want you right there with me as an audience member.
The other thing I like too, and before we get to break here, I just have to let you guys know this and let you know how commendable it is that every single emotion, true emotion, comes out on film. So even if there is a bit of trepidation, even if there is a bit of wonder, even if there is a tiny bit of it, there's never fear here, but it's a bit of, whoa, what is it we're seeing? And maybe you're holding back just a tiny bit, because it's a bit of, what is this? Are we in danger, or is this a thing of wonderment? Is this a thing that we should push forward? Or should we push more into it? What is this that we have in front of us? You're trying to be analytical, but at the same time, your body is reacting. You're seeing all of it right there on the screen.
We are people, we have fear. This is a scary thing that we're doing. We're not the great white hunter, that shows no fear and goes out there to battle. And, I'm not a Mary Sue. None of us are. And none of you are. We're all people, and we all have those mix of emotions no matter what we're doing. But what matters is that we keep moving forward, that no matter how much something scares us or the danger that we face, the important thing is that you take that journey and you keep moving forward. And that's what I want to show people. I want to show people everything that happens, the fear, the trepidation, the victories. It makes those victories worth it when you finally get them, when you finally get that piece of evidence, that the hardship that we've endured. And I've showed that through all of our films that I've done, between the blizzards, between the downpours, the camera malfunctions, all of the problems that we encounter in doing this. There is a reason for it. And I'll leave you with this before we go to break. Whatever this is, the phenomenon, it demands some kind of sacrifice from you before it gives you anything. You have to give a part of yourself before it gives you anything. And that's part of it. And that's part of the phenomenon, is that you have to go through that hardship before you can finally get that prize at the end.
Well, it's the fact that the Hellbent Holler group continues to rise above and overcome these obstacles, despite anything that's thrown in its way. And continues to rise above, that I think keeps us coming back to watch movie after movie after movie, because we're glued, right? And I think if you read the comments, that's why people are so attracted to you guys, is that it's, despite the fact that all this is thrown at you, you could turn tail and just decide, you know what, we're done. That's our last movie. But you know what, you keep coming back, and that's what we all love about you. So
it's almost like we're hellbent.
Yeah, right? It's appropriate. It's appropriate, that's for sure. Jessi Doyle is my guest, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about this great movie, Hunt for the Appalachian Bigfoot, Valley of the Giants, which is available right now on the Small Town Monsters YouTube page. We have a link in the description of this program, so by all means, we'll have that up and go check that out right now. But in the meantime, I got another thing for you to check out. That is Jelly Bean and Julia's right here in Coon Rapids, Minnesota. One of the best barbecue joints you will ever step foot in. By the way, they have an amazing mural on the back wall at Jelly Bean and Julia's. It's got UFOs. It's got a Sasquatch on the back wall. It's got one or two of them on the back wall. And it's got every paranormal phenomena you can imagine on that back wall. Their specials for this week and for today only, happy hour, 25% off all appetizers, excluding their appetizer sampler, half price off all single pour well drinks, half price off Mick Golden Light and Coors Light taps, and half price off domestic cans and bottles. Tomorrow is that smoked prime rib dinner, folks, every Friday night. And you know you're going to see me out there Friday night for that smoked prime rib dinner. Even the au jus is smoked. It's amazing. You've got that Boston baked potato, which is deep fried in that avocado oil. It's healthier for you folks. No hydrogenated fats here. You can get it loaded with sour cream, bacon bits, and cheese if you'd like. You've also got the Texas toast. And of course, I keep telling you about this tequila berry salad with that sweet and tangy dressing and the bacon bits, much more. 12 and 16 ounce cuts, nominally priced. They start serving at 4:30. Get there early. It will be gone. They serve it until it's gone. That's Friday night for that smoked prime rib dinner. Of course, breakfast on Sundays only at Jelly Bean and Julia's. You can get chicken and waffles and much more. You get the hash with the brisket in it. And believe me, folks, breakfast is an adventure and a privilege at Jelly Bean and Julia's. They also do catering, and they do special events, and they've got live entertainment on Saturday nights and much more at Jelly Bean and Julia's. Check it out, jellybeanandjulias.com. Jelly Bean and Julia's in Coon Rapids on Coon Rapids Boulevard. Jelly Bean and Julia's. All right, folks. When we come back, more with Jessi Doyle and Hellbent Holler. We'll be talking more about that brand new movie, Hunt for the Appalachian Bigfoot, Valley of the Giants, on Small Town Monsters YouTube page. We'll do that when we come back right here on the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. Welcome back to the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio on a Thursday. Myself and Jessi Doyle from Hellbent Holler. The name of the new movie, Hunt for the Appalachian Bigfoot, Valley of the Giants, on Small Town Monsters YouTube page. And it is an amazing movie, folks. Like I said before, and I'll say it to you again, more people have viewed this movie now over the weekend than attended SummerSlam at US Bank Stadium. That tells you how good this movie is. So go over right now. Click on the link in the description of this program. Go see it for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Don't take my word for it. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Don't take my word for it, though. Take the 70, almost 2,000 people who have viewed the movie already and go check it out for yourself.
Yeah, the film has gotten such a good response. We did a premiere last Sunday. Small Town Monsters did a premiere at 2 p.m. And we had, I think, 2,400 people in the premiere. So it was a huge, huge release. And the response has been great. Everybody really enjoys it.
Yeah. It is something special. I want to try to get as much into this as I can, Jessi, without giving too many spoilers, because I don't like doing that. Nobody likes doing that, especially filmmakers. They don't like doing that either. But I do want to talk about one thing, and I do feel sorry for Joe for one thing and one thing only, and that's this. For some reason, you like putting him in cramped spaces when it comes to filming. And there's a few times in this movie where, for some reason or another, in Blood Mountain has its challenges, he ends up having to get into the smallest cramped wooded spaces.
He does that on his own.
Are you sure now?
Yes, I am. He does this all the time. If we see something up on the hill or something, and this happens, I see something with my thermal and he's like, hold the camera. And he's shooting up those hills and going right up in there. So he does this on his own. I don't force him to do anything. I can direct everybody else. I am not directing my husband. So
okay, because I was going to say, he's 6'3" and he ends up getting into these spaces that are about this big. How does he do it? Is he a contortionist?
He slides he's pretty limber. He's pretty limber. He slides himself in there, but he's always excited to, of course, he is the tallest out of all of us. So he goes straight up those hills and right up into those areas where these things are.
There's a few scenes in this movie where he just, no fear, he just takes off.
Yeah, that's him. That's my man.
Jeez. Again, this begs a question. I know I may have asked it before, but is there ever a time where you do take a beat or two and go, you know what, maybe we should think about this for a second before we head in that direction? Is there ever a moment of self-preservation?
Yeah, that you have to kind of consider that stuff, and whether it be what's going on around you, whether it be the terrain. We were out there for this with the whole group. We were out there for 5 days, and we did 10 to 15 miles a day. So by that fourth and fifth day, everybody in the crew is exhausted. We're run roughshod. We've just been going. We get done at like 5, 6 in the morning. We get back to the cabin. I grill a couple of burgers and then we sleep for a few hours, charge all of our equipment, and then go back out. So at that point, everybody's really tired and the terrain is very dangerous. You have to know when to kind of back out. But now you're dealing with something like Sasquatch or the supernatural. You just have to go with your intuition on it. And if something starts to feel too dangerous and everybody's starting to feel that way, it's okay to back out of there and live to fight and investigate another day. So, but we just kept moving forward with this. And we never had a moment where we felt like we were in extreme danger, but we did get awfully close a couple of times to something. There is a part in the film where, and you guys look out for this, that you see through the thermal imager and you see Joe planting one of the bait chips that we have, and he's planting that, and then up above him, you have a thermal signature of something right above him, watching him as he does it. Yeah. So that was a little too close for comfort for me, for my husband to be that close to something. But you do have to understand that you do have to take some risks when doing this. Otherwise, you won't get the footage that you're out there trying to get.
Are you of a mind, and when you see something like that, are you of a mind that, and have to be of a mind of, you know what, Joe doesn't have a pistol on him, and these things are of a mind that if this human is not a threat to me, I'm not going to attack it? Is that in the back of your mind? Are you negotiating with yourself and saying it's not going to attack my husband if he's not a threat?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what these things' motivations are. I don't know how they react to anything. Well, I just don't have that information. But Joe always has a pistol on him.
Oh, he does. Okay, I didn't know if he did.
We all do.
Okay.
We have Glock 10 millimeters in our chest rigs.
Okay.
All the time. Yeah,
Okay.
that's one of my favorite comments when people are watching these. They're like, "You guys are going out there not armed," and I'm like, "Oh, we're very armed." Just because we're not waving them around. Because we are in a dangerous area. And it's not just that we are facing possible danger when it comes to Sasquatch, Bigfoot.
Oh, sure.
This is bear country as well. Not only that, there is the human element that is out there. And our national forests are just rife with shady people getting up to shady things. Yeah. So it's always important that we go out there armed and ready to protect ourselves if need be. So I don't know. I think that, again, you go with this calculated risk thing is you want to get that footage. And that's the most important thing is, yes, we got to get this footage. If we don't get the footage, it didn't happen. So we have to get the footage. But then sometimes we do get a little too close for comfort, and we may pay the price for that down the road. But right now we need to get as close as we can and try to get the footage of this, because that's what we're here for.
Yeah, I'd be more afraid of running into a serial killer or someone who's a sexual offender than Sasquatch when I was out in those areas.
We've come across cults before out in one area that we investigate. We had to get out of the area for a while. It was one of these places we would go regularly, and we started coming across evidence of cult activity. And then we came across them, and we had to get out of the area. But that is going on all over our country and our national forests. So if you go out and you do this work, please keep that in mind, that this is dangerous, not just for the terrain, the local wildlife or Sasquatch, but the human element is also very, very dangerous when it comes to this.
Yeah, and that I don't think people realize that, or not just realize it, but I think there's a false sense of security thinking I'm just out. It's just me and the animals out here, right? Or it's just me in God's country. And that false sense of security that there's no one who's going to approach you other than an animal is pretty prevalent, right?
Unfortunately, it is. I lived in New Orleans for many years, so I know how terrible people can be, and I'm very aware of that. Joe is too. Just situational awareness is very, very important, especially if you're doing this kind of work. You're going out in the middle of the night and you're doing this. You have to confront reality that this is very, very dangerous for those reasons.
Let me ask you this. Is there a very real danger that when you're out somewhere in the woods that what you think may be Sasquatch, maybe even the human element at times?
Yeah, it could be. That's why we always carry thermal monoculars with us, multiple thermal monoculars. So if we hear something or something's going on, we can look and we can see. A person can't hide from that, Yeah. So you have to just kind of be aware of that's a possibility. We do go around to all of the entrances and all the places you can park to get into an area, and check those out before we go in. We kind of do some reconnaissance beforehand, and we don't tell anybody where we're going and when we're going there. We've had some issues with stalkers and death threats and stuff towards me and towards us. So we have to be very vigilant about that to begin with. So we do a lot of reconnaissance before we go into an area and make sure that we're the only people out there. A, because of the safety factor, and B, because it could contaminate our evidence if there's other people out there.
Good. Yeah, to me, it's just I guess I've seen too many of the movies about going missing and things like that make me a little leery of wanting to go sit out in the woods. When I was younger, of course I did my fair share of deer hunting, and I'd seen enough out there in the woods as it was to know that it's not the most safest place in the world.
I mean, and you've got a prime example with Charles Hosh going missing in Blood Mountain in November of last year, and not a trace of him was found. So this isn't unprecedented. This is not unfounded fears. It happened right there where we were. We were right there on the trail that he went missing off of in the beginning of that film. And we show his missing poster and everything, and they still haven't found any clues about what happened to him. So this is not so far removed that you can forget that this is a danger out there. You have him staring right back at you before you enter into that trail, reminding you that this is a dangerous place.
I'm curious whether it comes to you or Joe or even Steve Strange or even Brooke. When you first come to a location, whether it be Land Between the Lakes or even now Blood Mountain, as you first enter into a location, does the spidey sense go off and tell you automatically just the location itself, not having anything to do with Sasquatch or anything, but the location itself? Do you get a, boy, this is not a good place? It's just not, in general, the location itself, the energy of it, not a good place. We should not be here. Do you ever get that amongst the four of you?
Yeah, you do. All of us have had those moments, and sometimes we'll all get that at the exact same time. It's important to trust your intuition. I've been doing this long enough that I know if I feel something's off, and I trust my human intuition. And it's not even just saying that it's like this, these abilities or anything like that to sense something. It's something that's inside all of us. It's just that we need to start trusting that that's still inside of us, that we have evolved to have that when something is not right, we have that intuition that lets us know that. And if that's the case, it's okay to back out and go to another location. We've done that before, that we get into a spot and we're like, okay, something's not right here. You're already juggling a lot. We're juggling cameras. We're trying to do this investigation. We're trying to look for this. And you can't fully do that and commit to what you're doing if you have this constant scratching in the back of your brain that there is something wrong and you don't need to be here. So it's okay to back out and go to another location. When we do these, that's why we have multiple locations when we do these investigations. We go to all these different locations. Joe and I will go and scout multiple locations before we bring on the rest of the crew. Joe and I have already been out there several weeks in a row scouting these places, making sure that this is some viable spot before we even bring in the rest of the crew to do the film, because we want to make sure, hey, A, that there is possible activity there, B, that we can get into the place and we can go and actually investigate the location, and C, to make sure that it's safe enough for us to be able to do that. And it gives us backups if we go into a spot and something seems completely off, then we can go to the other area,
Speaking of intuition and things that don't look on the up and up, there's one scene in the movie where you come across a house that looks like an abandoned house. You go into it. I won't give people what it is exactly, but there's a poster on the back of the wall that makes you surmise what it might be. It turns out it may be something completely different, which makes you think something completely different. Like there may be a bit of an element of danger to it. When you get something like that, do you go back to a source, an information source like Dave, like you mentioned earlier in the program, and do you say to him, what exactly is this place, or what did we just run into here? And is there an element of danger here?
Well, what's interesting is as soon as the film comes out, and people start watching it, these sources reach out to us immediately. They come out and they reach out to us about, oh, I live in this area and this, and this has happened. So there's multiple people who have reached out to us that are from the area who said that it's awful strange that this particular building was abandoned. And it was a part of a whole thing where the Forest Service sort of abandoned this whole area and sort of made it inaccessible. So the roads that we went down, these old Forest Service roads that we went down for the first two investigations for the film, they are passable, but they're gated off, and access has been completely restricted to these areas from both ends. And it wasn't just where that building is, the access to this has been severely restricted from the other side of that mountain and the other side of that valley. So we came in from both sides, but there's gates up on both sides. You can't drive in there. You can't go too deep in there with a vehicle or anything. You have to hike miles and miles and miles to access this. And that brings up a question. Why were these areas blocked off? And we never got into that. We never discussed that because it's already an hour 45 and I packed as much into an hour 45 as I could. Some stuff ended up on the cutting room floor because of that. But there's so many other questions. And that's why this film is the tip of the iceberg. This film is the introduction to Blood Mountain and the surrounding area. We are going to be going in there and really diving into these specific locations in a more in-depth way on our channel. We're going to have a whole Blood Mountain series following this on our channel, Hellbent Holler. But we had to get as much of the introduction of here's Blood Mountain, here's what's going on into this film. But now we're going to start exploring those lingering questions that we have as a result of this initial deep dive into this area. So we have a lot of questions about a lot of these areas and what else is going on. And we're going to explore that going forward.
Interesting. Yeah. Because I had those same questions too. Like the minute you walk into that little house, I'm like, why is that sitting the way it's sitting? Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very unusual because it did look like an outpost to me, like almost like a government outpost home. Mm-hmm. It's too small to be a livable home.
And the fact that there's no graffiti, there's no destruction.
Yeah.
That's very strange that it's just kind of, it's almost a time capsule in a way.
Right. It literally looks like someone just abandoned the thing and left.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In a hurry. Yeah. So it's very strange indeed. Yeah. Yeah. It was a fascinating thing that you came across there. But almost eerie. Very eerie.
Yeah. Abandoned buildings in the middle of the woods are always very eerie, especially when they have, personal effects and things still in them.
Yeah.
And they're pristine and just preserved. It's alarming for sure. It's definitely, it piques your interest.
Right. And even to the fact that there were no wild animals that went through it looking for food or anything like that. I mean, you got to kind of go, wait a minute, if wild animals don't go through this.
Yeah. What's the deal here?
Yeah. Then something is protecting it, right? That something has cast its stink on it, so to speak, in order to keep it protected. So it's under the protection of something that nothing will mess with. Yeah. So yeah, it really does get the hackles up on your neck. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So this begs that. Now you kind of answered my next question by saying that there's other episodes of that from Blood Mountain that you're going to tackle on your own site, but can you give us a little bit of a sneak peek as to what that final Small Town Monsters movie might be about?
Well, the funny thing is we don't know. We don't know yet. We don't. No.
We don't. Okay.
That's the thing is we have a habit of letting the universe push us in the direction it wants to push us. Okay. And I think that's part of this too, is that we accept that we have no control over a lot of this. Okay. And that if we just release control, it will show us what's next. Okay. That's what happened with Blood Mountain. That's how we ended up at Blood Mountain, and thank goodness we did. And I think we're gonna see what kind of speaks to us, and we'll go from there. We've got a couple of ideas, and we're gonna kind of check that out. But I think the Blood Mountain doc is really important for the Bigfoot subject as a whole. I kind of wanted to talk about this a little bit, but I think it's really important for the Bigfoot subject as a whole, because there is this black and white kind of like camps of flesh and blood, scientific, blah, 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 and then the woo thing. Mm-hmm. And what I wanted to show with this film is that these are not separate things, that they are all multiple sides of the same phenomenon, that this phenomenon has all of these things, that these are physical creatures that interact with their environment. They defecate, they eat, they knock on trees, they interact with their environment, but also it appears they have some sort of special thing attached to them as well, whether it be special abilities or co-phenomena that happens alongside of them. We were experiencing what we would call classic Sasquatch activity, and then it's followed up by a paranormal event, events of high strangeness. So I really wanted to showcase that this is something that is happening and has been happening, despite the fact that some of the reports of this happening have been sanitized by certain groups who have been taking these reports. Thankfully, we have people like David Becerra at the Expedition Bigfoot Museum who listens to the whole report, and he takes the whole report, warts and all, uncomfortable truths and all, things that these people actually experience, and he's not afraid to talk about them. I thought it was really amazing during his interview that he got into those topics, and then we experienced those things that he discussed in that. But I think that this is kind of a shot across the bow that we as researchers, investigators, if we want to be honest about what we do, we need to show the whole story and talk about every facet of this story, not just the ones that support our theories. And, I think we're going to get a lot further in the study of this if we do that.
What's interesting, honestly, Jessi, is it's becoming more popular now for Bigfoot researchers to tackle both sides of the fence. And I'm glad,
and that's wonderful.
I'm glad it is. I'm glad it is. I'm glad we're not becoming tribalistic with this argument. It seems like maybe even 10 years ago you had to pick a side.
Yeah. And that's, that's always been who I am. I've always been kind of a rabble rouser, It's just always who I am. And I fell in love with the Bigfoot subject. I'm obsessed with it. And I was like, well, it's time for me to rattle some cages in this world too, because there's one thing I can't stand. It's an injustice, and if I see people who are denied their whole story, then that can't be allowed to stand. And I think that some people who have been shouted down for many, many years in this subject and laughed at and ridiculed, they deserve to be heard as well. So I think opening the doors with this film and kind of, inoculating people from that fear of talking about the whole story. That's what I want to do. I want to show people that there is many sides to this phenomenon and that it's okay to really report everything and talk about everything. And don't be afraid that you're going to be shouted down, because we're all here and we all know the truth, that this is way stranger than a lot of people would like you to believe.
Yeah. Well, you're pushing the boundaries one more time, my friend. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I think people are going to be, if not at the very least, pleasantly surprised and at the very most incredibly shocked at the end of this movie.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be one of those things where it's going to realign your beliefs as to what you think this Bigfoot phenomena is. And
it's crazy to me that I can make something that is going to do that, I'm beyond humbled that I can create something. And one of my investigations and one of my films is something that is hopefully going to shift that paradigm. I'm so honored that you would say that about my film. And a few people have said that. I'm honored at that. I think that's, I would love to be the ambassador into this unity, and this unity of we need diversity of thought too, but we need everybody to kind of chill out and say, all right, you believe this, I believe that, but let's look at what is happening. Right. We need that discussion. And if I can, bring this discussion on, I'm so proud of that fact.
Yeah. Well, again, you and your group have done amazing work, and again, you can watch it right at Small Town Monsters YouTube page, and boy, I can't, I keep telling you, I don't mean to keep putting the pressure on you, but I can't wait for the next one. I'm going to go back and rewatch this one more than a few times, because it's so intriguing. I keep finding myself when I watch it the first time, I miss little tidbits here and there. And then I go back and watch it a second time, and I get the rest of everything that I missed.
And I want to let you guys discover things. I want you as the audience to discover things in it. That's why I don't stop it and rewind it and go over every little thing, because I want you in the moment. I want you there with us. You can watch it again and you'll catch other stuff, but I don't want to stop every couple of minutes and rewind and point out every little thing. I don't need to hold your hand through this. I don't. I trust you as the audience to be able to do this as well to join us on this journey of discovery. And I trust you as the audience to do that. And I absolutely have the faith in you that you can do that. But watch it again, you're going to find something else. Watch it again, you'll find something else. So I want you to be in that moment. I want you to feel that tension that we felt and that fear and that excitement that we felt and be a part of that. And then keep discovering things as you go along. Because I know I do. I'm glad you don't.
I'm glad you don't do the rewind, spoon feed us. I'm glad you don't do that. I think we've had enough of that format. Yeah. I'm glad that you allow us to take the journey with you. You allow us to be our own detective. You allow us to investigate along with you. That's a wonderful format.
Yeah.
So, Jessi Doyle, I want to thank you again. It's, Man, what a movie. Again, folks, name of the movie, Hunt for the Appalachian Bigfoot, Valley of the Giants. It's available on Small Town Monsters YouTube page. We have a link in the description of this program so you can go watch that movie. Again, almost 72,000 people have seen it just over the weekend. And there's going to be more. So get in on this phenomenon while you can.
And make sure if you watch it, leave a comment. Please leave a comment. Yeah. This helps get it out in front of more eyeballs. We want more people to see this film. We want to support independent filmmakers. You have Small Town Monsters, which is an independent, small filmmaking company. We want to get into that. They are passionate about the subject. I am passionate about the subject. I'm an independent filmmaker. That's what we need to be supporting. People who are truly interested in the subject. I think the days of corporate media owning the subject are over. It belongs to us, the people who are doing the work, the people who love the subject. It doesn't belong to a studio or a network anymore. It belongs to us. It belongs to the people. So support that. Make sure you share it, comment, help get it in front of more eyeballs, and support independent media and independent filmmakers.
Absolutely. Amen. I like that even better. All right. Jessi, thank you so much for being with us today, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, folks, we're upon the weekend. Here's the deal. One, if you were listening to the show, you're not watching it, go to our YouTube page, Original Darkness Radio. You'll be able to see the video there, or just go to darknessradioshow.com. The video is linked up with the audio too. Be sure to support the show. Go to darknessradioshow.com, go to the shop. There's True Crime Tuesday and Darkness Radio swag available there. 3, take the Darkness Radio Apple app with you wherever you go. Put it on your device. Make sure that you have it. If you don't have it, go download it from the store right now. If you do have it, make sure it's updated. 4, we're upon the weekend right now, and we're coming to the end. I hate to say this. We're coming to the end of summer already. We're into August. There's some stuff that needs to be done around the house or around the yard, and you do have disabled or elderly people that need your help. Be sure this weekend to find one of those people in your community, whether it be family members or friends, or even disabled veterans or elderly veterans that need your help. And be sure to be a light in someone's darkness this weekend and go help those people. You've got a little bit of time in your schedule. I know you do. Life isn't that busy. Go be a light in someone's darkness and help those elderly and disabled people in your community this weekend. All right, that'll do it for Mally Fox, for Jessica Freeberg, for Beer City Bruiser, for Travis Thorpe, and for the lady who's with me today, Jessi Doyle. I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for joining us today on the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio.